Welcome to Mainstream with Partition 2. आप सबनों प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब and shalom. We just celebrated, Independence Day, August 15. Pakistan celebrated on 14th, and it's interesting that how this independence is looked at, and if we really look at the whole situation and try to assess, the generation or the generations which are born after that, and some of them, they know the sacrifices their families, their parents or their relatives made, and as the time passes, the generations moved on, it sort of like receded in the memory. But the question is, how and what is freedom, and at what cost, and who really got the freedom, and who paid the price for that? The 1947 division. I was having a conversation with a gentleman a couple of days ago about the partition of India, and we were just sitting and having conversation. This gentleman mentioned, August 15 is coming up, and the division of India took place on that date. Excuse me. The gentleman immediately stopped him from saying that. He said, listen, it was not division of India. It was the division of Punjab and Bengal. And I have been on my show always talk about that when we talk about independence, when we talk about that division, and especially when we talk about Punjab. The current Punjab for the young generations is Punjab, which is right now, I would say maybe 1/8 of original Punjab as a Punjab province, if we include Punjab where Jammu and Kashmir was part of Punjab. And Punjab actually was originally from Ayodhya all the way to where we have Pakhtunkhwa, the border with Afghanistan, Pakistan-Afghanistan border. So, but even if we look at just the Punjab province, including the West Punjab and the East Punjab at the time of division, and the price paid, nobody really talks about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. There is a movie recently came out. Actually, there were, about the partition. This is the movie which came out. Main Wapas Aunga. And I haven't finished the movie, but I was watching it. Even though my family was not affected, I'm from Hoshiarpur, and we still have the family on this side. So Hoshiarpur actually remained with India. It was part of India at that time. There were provinces before that, some princely states, and all that how those princely states and other independent kingdoms, they actually decided to be part of India, and later on what happened with them, about their agreements and everything, that's a history, and that is for the historians to assess and see. But for me, when I look at it, and because my wife actually, her family came from the other side, from Gujranwala, and while I was watching this movie, which I have watched only about half of it, and probably I will finish tonight, rest of it. First of all, I will recommend everybody to see the movie so that they can understand the pain which those people who at that time were part of, who were on that side of the border, what happened to them, and those who migrated to that side of the border from east side, from east to west, what happened to them. Interestingly, in my neighborhood, we get together. I found out this young, my age, young people getting together in the afternoon for about an hour, hour and a half, depending on, sometime I go and join them. And when I go there, some other people, they started coming in, looking at us and joining the conversation. I was there yesterday, and this gentleman from Pakistan, his son, Bilal, he gave me his number, Bilal's number. He himself does not have a number. And he said that I want to speak to somebody, who is from this side, from east side. And he was talking about, Kapurthala district. His family was from there. And I'm going to find somebody from that neighborhood. And he wants to know what happened to his family house there. When you talk to them, when you listen to them, outside they may not show that much emotions, but you can still feel that pain inside which they carry on. He's about my age, give or take, so which means basically he was born around that time in 50s, maybe a couple of years after 50, 52, 53, whatever it is. And he started talking to me about a couple of things, and that's when we were departing, that's when he asked me about it. And he said that I want to speak to somebody who would know about it. And I did try to make a couple of calls, but nobody picked up the phone. But but that's not the point. The point is those people who lost their dear ones at that time, the pain which they carry with them. And lot of people, they actually are going to die with that pain. And that is something which is not actually recognized by the modern day politician. Doesn't matter whether they are from India or Pakistan or Bangladesh, doesn't matter, because the vision is really not there about what the vision was of being an India as an India. Pakistan, from day one, it was supposed to be a Muslim-dominated state. That was Jinnah's demand, and he got that. But India was more like a republic where the states were given their powers, center had its own power, and even though there was a big back and forth about how to, have which power and sharing, even though the states' powers are being reduced on regular basis, doesn't matter which government comes first. It was Congress, now it is the BJP. But one thing is constant, that the rights of the states are being reduced, as well as the rights of the individual people, including the freedom of the individuals. When Mrs. Gandhi Mrs. Indira Gandhi declared emergency in 1975, she declared it. Yes, we did not agree with it. At that time, I had just finished my college. And I remember the things at that time. Even the cops who will stop you and you will pay, to get away from the cop. At that time, it was like 5 rupees. And all of a sudden, that 5 rupee jumped to 10 rupees. And when the reason was asked, well, they were like, oh, emergency has been declared. And I'm talking about corruption here. And now that corruption is so much metastasized in the society that when somebody goes anywhere, they expect that things will not be done unless I pay something over and above. So when you talk about freedom, when you talk about all this, and you look at this, and then on top of that, your freedom of speech is controlled, or if you say what you want to say or what you think, then all of a sudden you get all these hired goons, if I may say, because I personally believe that it's sort of like gundagardi when you threaten somebody just for saying something or posting something on the social media. You may not like it, you don't have to like it, but it doesn't mean that you have to threaten the person. So what was the fight that freedom of India at that time, which was including Pakistan and Bangladesh, was this the freedom which at that time was thought about? I don't believe it. Because those people who thought about that freedom, they were so much educated that they knew what it means to have a freedom. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh. Once again, don't forget to shoot me an email on hstoor@gmail.com so that we can have a conversation. So we're talking about this freedom, what actually freedom is. If you cannot protest, if there are some rules which are against those people who actually feel threatened, instead of communicating with them, you use all the resources of the power which you have at your disposal, and then you try to blame it on CIA. The similarities between Cockroach Janata Party demonstration and when the farmers' protest took place, there are quite a lot of similarities in that. Okay? Government tried everything to paint that as a extremist Khalistan movement where those farmers are planning to divide India. Whereas that was not the intent. Intent was that the laws which were passed, they were not favorable to the farmers. Even though the laws were taken back, but they were promised that they will give XYZ. The laws were taken back, but that XYZ was never delivered. And they should have known that they are dealing with a government where before they came in, they promised that we will give 15 lakh rupees to every individual and we'll bring this money back from Switzerland, Swiss banks. And later on, the President of India says it was just a jumla. the respect and which they demand, respect actually is gained. You don't demand the respect, but here respect is demanded. And if you say anything against that, then immediately you are an enemy. You want to break up India. Why? Because they want to muzzle your voice down. Those people at that time, they were so highly qualified as compared to what we have. We have Prime Minister Modi who, they are showing a lot of degrees now these days. And when the RTI was put in, it was questioned, and universities won't answer that because they don't want to answer. They do not have the answer. That Prime Minister Modi is claiming that I am PhD holder or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But on the other hand, he was saying that I was selling chai and pakoras, and he's telling the young generation to do same. Instead of dreaming like Jawaharlal Nehru did, Sardar Patel did what he dreamed was how to keep India, which is in current shape, as one. Talking with the princely states, talking to the local kingdoms, and all those, who were involved in that. Okay? And Nehru was thinking about that, now we got the freedom, now what? How we are going to feed the hungry, and how we will make sure that these left behind people, they can have equal opportunities and they can also dream. That's the difference of dreaming and doing something, or doing something and asking others to do the same thing. And you cannot dream if you can't think and you don't have the freedom of speech, freedom of thinking, freedom of moving, and of course the freedom of religion. It's interesting that when Ram Temple issue, Babri Masjid issue was resolved, I haven't read the judgment yet, but there was some comments by the Chief Justice at that time that it is the demand of the people, which means they did not have any proof that there was Ram Temple before that. But somehow they gave a judgment, they divided that into two halves, Babri Masjid. So those people who give that kind of judgment, which means what? They are looking at, like right now, Rajiju was Chief Justice. As soon as he retired, he was picked up by the BJP. Puri, he was ambassador. As soon as he retired, he was picked up by BJP. S. Jaishankar was very talented ambassador, foreign services experience. As soon as he retired, he was picked up by the BJP. So what I'm trying to say is, there is a quid quo in this thing, quid pro quo, because I will do this thing if you will do this thing for me. And when those things actually infiltrate into the system, your freedoms are compromised. Like, Chief Justice, actually how the Cockroach Janata Party came into existence, we all know that now. Okay? Chief Justice actually made a comment. And then we have the president of the Bar Association in India saying that the degrees, law degrees from a particular university who belongs to a particular faith, they will not be accepted as a genuine degrees. You know, but at the same time, what you are doing or what you are saying is you are trampling over the rights of the people, you are discouraging the people. The very first act, which was a major step where the BJP could have done something to show that we care about everybody who is in India and who is Indian, that they should have made that Muslim gentleman as chief of army staff, because he was eligible to be that, even though it was only for 3 or 4 months. But they will not promote him. They promoted who was junior to him. It was not that it was not done before, it was done before, but at the same time, that was the time when you were trying to send the message out that what kind of message you want to give. And was that the message you really wanted to give to the people? That we care about the general public? Like I said, Nehru was talking about raising the living standards of the people who probably have never even had 2 full meals in a day. And here now we have about 60-65% people receiving atta, dal, with the Prime Minister's pictures on the bags. So what you are trying to say that you are being fed by this person, otherwise you will go hungry. Now the question is, it's not that those people they are not looking for the arms. Those people who came to Jantar Mantar, they were actually looking for a fairness and justice. Was justice done? No. To expect that a justice will be done in India by the government, I don't expect it, because even the courts are compromised. Just imagine that 75 emergency was declared by Mrs. Indira Gandhi because a judge in Allahabad High Court ordered the election of Mrs. Indira Gandhi null and void. The most powerful women at that time. But he did it. Now the judges even can't think of giving a judgment like that. And then we talk about that we need to have equality, the freedom, where the peoples are haunted, the pellet guns are used, AK-47s are used, lathi charge we are used to, because that was being done since time immemorial, if I may say. The British started that and it continued, And sometime I look at, comparatively with the police forces here and in India, and over here, during in the 20s when we had this defund the police movement going on, some of the protesters actually spit on the faces of the cops, but the cops did not say anything, they restrained themselves. I still remember we were having at the end of the India Sikh Day parade in Manhattan. At that time, the mayor of the time, Bill de Blasio, came in, and he was speaking from the stage, and I would say about 30, maybe 40 feet away, there was this gentleman with a cardboard cutout with some things written, scribbled on it, and he was yelling, in a higher pitch. And while Bill de Blasio, the mayor, was giving a speech, so I asked the cop, I said, "Can you just please ask him to stop?" He said, "No." He said, "It says freedom." Just imagine. I shared previously in one of my show that there was a cop who was shot and killed on the line of duty. Kathy Hochul, the governor, which is equal to the chief minister of the state, she came to the funeral of that officer, and the president of the police union, along with his couple of other office bearers, came to the governor's car and told the governor, not asked, told the governor that you're not welcome here, we don't want you to be here, and please go back. But she did. Just imagine. I literally saw the mayor, Bill de Blasio, giving a speech at the death of 2 cops who were shot in Brooklyn. And these officers who were there at the funeral, they turned their backs to the mayor during his whole lecture. Did mayor like it? Of course not. But did he complain about it? Maybe he did to his inner circles or discussed over there, but publicly he never condemned that. Why? Because he said that's their right. So the rights and the freedom of speeches, just look at how it is and what it is. And then we need to look at ourselves and say that yes, we got the freedom, but did we really got the freedom? What kind of freedom we got? Where our freedom of thought, freedom of movement, freedom of religion, freedom who you pick up your friend. Everything is now dictated. And in the name of protecting you, they are claiming that they are protecting you, and they pass the laws based on that. And are they really protecting you, or they are just dividing the society and the community further into it? How come that not a single MP is a Muslim? How come there is not a single Sikh cabinet minister in the ministry? During previous administrations, before Prime Minister Modi became the Prime Minister, everybody had cabinet ministers who were from different faiths. But over here, no. Not a single one. Yeah, Bittu is there, but he's a state minister, not the full-fledged minister as a cabinet minister. There is a big difference. So we need to assess, and we as a public do have the right to ask right questions, and if those questions are not answered, then we do have the right to protest. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. So we were talking about independence, division of India, or division of Punjab and Bengal, and Khushwant Singh wrote a book. I think it is Train to Pakistan. Let me check. Yep. That's the name of the book, and later on the movie was also made on that. And the carnage which took place, the women's, they were either raped, they were either killed by first torturing them, taking away their dignity and then killing them, or just picking them and disappearing in that hole mess which was happening at that time. And the maximum loss happened to the Punjabis in general and Sikhs in particular. And Bengalis also paid price for that, but rest of India not really. And those who created Pakistan, whether it was Muhammad Ali Jinnah or the people who were with him, they didn't lose anything. Actually, even after the division of India, Muhammad Ali Jinnah wrote to the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru to rent out his property in Bombay to somebody, preferably a British, asking for about 3,000 rupees at that time, because he said that he made it with his own hands, and So that's the class difference has always been there in India, and it still is. And that actually then brings me to, I was reading about it. We have the reservation system, and I personally still believe, and I'm still against these reservations, but those people who justify it, if we look at them, then it is they are right on their place. In Punjab, yeah, we do have a caste system, but it is not as rigid as it is in other parts of India, like in UP, Bihar, Bengal, rest of India, Gujarat, Maharashtra, And I was still in India when I was talking to somebody, and also agriculture minister, when the conversation was taking place about doing away with the reservations, and he said that, would a Brahmin marry my daughter? Just imagine, we are talking here a person who is a cabinet minister in Indian government, and he's asking a question, would a Brahmin marry his daughter? Just like, a Brahmin will marry a Brahmin lady, girl. So when you listen to those kind of, questions, you really don't have the answers. Because, in America we have a divide of black and white, Spanish. Then we have the areas where, those are not cleaned, they are dirty. But then you have the areas which are where the people of those are predominantly white, and it's more clean. In US, it is that kind of discrimination. A person who is not white, he can go into buy a property in that neighborhood which is white. He may find a resistance to it. They may try to not to sell the house to them, but if he ends up there living there, his street is the same, shopping centers are the same. He can go into the line, stand in the line, and buy the stuff. But in India, if a Shudra touch a Brahmin, they have, I think, something like that. If you did it, then you deserve to die, something like that. So in August and I'm reading this, I was trying to get the information, and I got this on Indian Express, this article. It's a small article, but in this one, in August 36, Britishers announced a communal award, which was actually the provisions to give reservation to backward classes, like they say it. And yeah, we know, even though, we are prohibited to use those words, which I will not use here, but you would understand what I'm talking about. like Yashika Dutt, who was on my show sometime back, which I'm expecting to be back here soon. She talked about being that she belongs to a Pangi class, and she talked about her experience. So, and Gandhi was opposed to it, whereas Dr. Ambedkar wanted it. Okay, and Gandhi was preparing to start, fast unto death. That was his way of, doing it, getting whatever we want. We can say he was trying to get his way, or he was trying to get justice, or whatever way. I am not going to judge or say anything on that, but that was his way of doing it. And Dr. Ambedkar told an interviewer that he trusted Gandhi would not drive him to the necessity of making a choice between his life, and here he is talking about Gandhi's life, and the rights of my people, because he was from that backward class. And further he said, I can never consent to deliver my people bound hand and foot to those caste Hindus for generations to come. Because Dr. Ambedkar actually belonged to those classes. He was adopted by somebody, in Maharashtra, and sent him to study. He did study at Columbia also, and later on he also became minister with Jawaharlal Nehru in the first cabinet. And he tried to float his party but did not succeed. So Gandhi's fast was about that communal award, and that became a flashpoint between both of them. On March 11, and I'm assuming this was in the following year, because over here they don't mention, because August 1936 it was declared. Gandhi read in the newspaper that British government was preparing to announce a proposal to separate electorates for depressed classes. He objected again and he said that he will resist this with his own life, which again going on fast. And Gandhi argued that separate electorates would tear apart and disrupt Hindu society. Listen, Gandhi gave them the name Harijan. Okay? So, even though he was saying that those are same people, but at the same time he was not giving them the status like the other Hindus. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. And there is a book by Ramachandra Guha in Gandhi 1914 to 1948, the years that changed the world. Okay? So, and finally, on August 16, a MacDonald, Ramsay MacDonald, British Prime Minister, announced a communal award. It recognized that depressed classes, which means those backward classes and scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, as a minority, and granted them a separate electorate for 20 years. And the arrangement gave them 71 special seats in provincial legislatures. The award also provided separate electorates for Muslims, Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, and Europeans, along with the communal allocation. So this is something, and even today there are 84 out of 543 seats in Lok Sabha. 84 seats are reserved for scheduled caste and 47 for scheduled tribe. So 131 out of 543 seats are still reserved in Lok Sabha over there. So, which again, BJP is trying to dilute that also by, this delimitation and other things which are happening. So, now there is something also, I was reading about Independence Day, that now the Vande Mataram has been made an issue. What is interesting is that those people who do not have the meal at their table, those are not the issues, but the Vande Mataram is. Now, without having proper conversation, proper discussion, the Vande Mataram has been made as a full rendition of it to be read, which is about 3 minutes and a couple of seconds long, instead of only couple of stanzas. And it was about from a movie, I think it was Satyajit Ray's movie, Anand Math. In that movie, it was included in that movie and sung by, So, here is this gentleman who wrote in Frontline, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. We're talking again about the freedom. Where knowledge is free, where the word has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the words come out from the depth of the truth, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, not narrowing but widening, okay? Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. That's the difference. This is something which is like looking at the freedom, what the freedom should be. When, at the 50 years anniversary of freedom of India, I probably have that India Today magazine somewhere in my house. The journalists at that time, forget about today's journalists, they don't do anything, it's more like a government mouthpiece, like they call it Godi media. There is a reason why they call it Godi media. So, he went to a student who was in convent school in the 9th grade or 10th grade and in Bombay, and asked about her and the future. And she was very upbeat about the future. Why? Because her dad was rich, she was going to this parochial school, getting good education, being dropped at the school in a car. At home they had the servant, blah, 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 okay? Then he went to this kid who actually was a rag picker in Delhi and asked him about it, what he thinks about the freedom. And he was like, what freedom? I even don't know what you're talking about. Because for me, I have to get up in the morning, go to the garbage dump, grab from there whatever I can bring back and sell to a kabadi. Those people who buy, that, whether those are clothes or papers for recycling. He said, then that kabadi will give me the money, and with that money, I will go to a shop where I will buy either a dal or a vegetable and some atta, wheat. Then I will come home, I will cook the sabji, dal, make the roti, eat, go to sleep. By the time I go to sleep, I barely sleep enough. It is time to get up and start again. So what kind of freedom you're talking about? So when, they talk about Viksit Bharat on the one side, and on the other side, they call them the current generation of Naxalites, those people who think freely and talk freely, So they are actually preparing ground to have a mindset on the people who worship them, the current administration, like nothing, that they can actually go out and ultimately arrest these people who, have the guts to say the facts, to show the mirror to the king. I enjoy Arundhati Roy, who has been charged actually with sedition by the current Indian administration for something, a lecture which she gave in something like 2010 or even before that, when Manmohan Singh was, Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister. So, are we really free? Is that what the freedom is? If that is the freedom which the current administration is trying to define as a freedom, then I beg to differ with that. Freedom is what Arundhati Roy is doing. Freedom is what those farmers did. Freedom is what these Cockroach Janata Party kids did. That's the freedom. And that freedom will make India a more modern, equal society than what anybody can do otherwise, and what at the time of independence, those people who fought for it, they thought about it, including Bhagat Singh. With that note, till next time, good night and good luck.